Hello and welcome to Coffee with Keerthi. Today we have with us extremely active and fantastic personality with us. Her name is Deeksha Ahuja. She's the co-founder of Cedarwood, EdTech startup, and she's doing a fantastic job in terms of looking into education and the systems, new systems, and virtual education, most importantly. We'll be talking about her other startups as well. So, Deeksha, welcome to Coffee with Keerthi. How are you doing today?
I see I've got my coffee already ready. So thank you for having me over. And
Thank you.
of course, I think what you're doing is fantastic. In such uncertain times, everyone needs like a mood lifter, right? So this was
Yes.
certainly my highlight of the day. And, I got ready and I was like, great, I'm having a meeting. Even if it's online, that's fantastic.
Nice, nice, nice. Fantastic. So we'll dive directly into the questions, Deeksha.
Sure.
So please tell me about Cedarwood. When you started this, how this idea came to you, and what do you guys do at Cedarwood, and who your target audience is. Everything about Cedarwood.
Right, right. So, Keerthi, this was education was a concept or a sector which has always been close to me for two reasons. The first one being when I was going to school here in Pune itself, I always questioned the kind of things that I was learning, right? Because it always looked to me that none of the things that I'm learning are actually going to help me in my career later on, right? Whether in college or taking up something later, and the skills that you actually need, such as communication, creativity, problem solving, analytical thinking, those unfortunately aren't imparted at our formal schooling system. So that was, one problem. And the other was my mom's been a teacher for almost 25
Oh
years.
wow.
So, I've seen her teach children. I've seen her put in a lot of hard work and passion. But if you look at the rewards and the remuneration for teachers in the K-12 segment, there's a complete mismatch, right? So these were the two problems that were, staring at my face right after I graduated from St. Xavier's in Bombay. And that's when I realized that there is an opportunity to create something or offer a platform that focuses on skill development for children, the 21st century skills that I spoke of, and at the same time to build an alternate career path for teachers. So there are a lot of experienced teachers out there who either are teaching in schools or are taking classes individually. So how can we make sure that their classes are enhanced or what they are doing is known by more people, right?
Right.
So that was, in a sense, the birth of Cedarwood.
Okay. And how does Cedarwood really help students and teachers in the sense? Do you is it a platform? Is it an online place where students come and they
Right.
talk to an individual teacher, or what is that? Basically?
Right. So I'll just give you a very simple anecdote. So consider us to be the Uber for the education industry.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
so on one side, you have parents who are the passengers who are looking for such classes for their children. So we target children between 4 to 16 years. And on one side, you have teachers who possess some good skills and want to impart these skills to the children, right? So we are that aggregator, that marketplace where the connection happens. So the way that this works is from the demand side, we have a lot of parents who approach us online. All of our platforms are online. That's why they can search for classes. And we list our teachers who are doing classes across different cities, different areas, right?
Mhm.
So in a pre-COVID era, everything was done in an offline fashion, where
Okay.
as a parent, you can just go on our website, put in the age of your child, put in where you stay, and you get a list of the classes or the teachers who are doing these classes in and around your neighborhood, right?
Okay.
Of course, in the post-COVID era, all the classes have been shifted online, right? But
Okay.
essentially, how parents need to find courses, teachers need to find students, and we're in the middle.
Right, right. So basically, bridging the gap between the students and teachers, which is like you said, enhancing the already existing education system
Right.
and creating that platform. I think it's a great platform. A lot of parents would want to explore this one particular or alternate mode of education also. I think so, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
a lot of parents that I come across are already like my sister is got he's a teenager, right? My nephew. So he's already thinking of IIT and all of that. So, and it's not just the academics that the students need to be getting today,
Absolutely.
right? Because the world is getting more competitive and you need to have that communication skills. You need to be, following certain kind of maybe be a leader, be a team player and all of that. So I think there's a lot of value add that you guys do, right? So would you like to add more to that, Deeksha?
Right. So, so the whole idea was that we wanted parents to also get recommendations of the right teachers. See, unfortunately, in a segment like teaching, the entry barriers are very low, right?
Mm.
Today, even I can just go on Just Dial and say, hey, I've been teaching for 5 years. I'm a great tutor, buy some points.
Right.
And as a parent, there's no credibility, right? So that's
Absolutely.
another important segment that we brought into Cedarwood. We have a very thorough background check. So I keep emphasizing this, that we are not a listing platform, right?
Okay.
Because a listing platform is a self-listing platform where anyone can list and their profile appears. So we have a very strong background check process. We only have teachers on board who have great experience, are
Mm.
excellent in delivering, and we have a less than 2% of intake rate, right?
Oh,
So for
wow.
the parent, we want to solve that problem, that if you come to a Cedarwood, if you opt for Cedarwood classes, you are kind of assured of the quality of education that your child is getting.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if I may ask you, how many students have already got uh, uh, some kind of education from
Right,
Cedarwood? How many teachers
right,
do you guys have? Like you said, there's only 2% intake, but I would, I think a lot of parents would like to know how
right,
many teachers you have, how many students you guys have already taught something, and
right.
since when is Cedarwood been working? How long? What is the history of Cedarwood? And
Right.
any other milestone that you want to really emphasize on, or you want to highlight, so that like you said, it's all about credibility, right? So
Correct.
what are those numbers about Cedarwood?
Right.
Deeksha?
So before, I dwell into the numbers, you spoke about milestones, right? So in fact, I think I'm a firm believer in small achievements. But if you look at the edtech industry, more than 90% of the startups and companies have a drop rate after 2 to 3 years, right?
Mm.
So we've survived for 8 years. We actually started this in 2012. So
Oh,
I think
wow.
that's a landmark in itself. Talking about the number of children or the hours of skilling, so we've done over 50,000 hours of skilling across almost 10,000
Awesome.
children in
Awesome.
these 8 years across. So a lot of it is offline, some of it is online. Now of course it's completely online. We have about 100 plus teachers in the network.
Mhm.
Some of
Mhm.
them are of course mainly in Pune, but some of them are actually spread across the country,
Mhm.
right? So
Mhm.
what we like to believe is in quality, and
Right.
not as much as quantity. And the students who have taken even 1 or 2 courses from us, even who've stayed with us for 1 or 2 years, we've got very positive feedback from their parents. Some of them are now in class 12, appearing to
Oh, wow.
college. And one of the things that we hear very often from parents is that the confidence or the
Mhm.
decision making ability that the children have after going through any of our courses is extremely heightened, right? Because that's what we focus on. Unfortunately, our systems of education in schools tell children to rote learn, but
Right.
we have a very different philosophy. We want them to think, we want them to be independent decision makers. So that plays a lot of role, in the later stages of a child's life.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I think you are that one place that is adding more value to the existing education system.
Yes,
I
yes,
really am happy that people like you are working in this in this domain and adding a lot of value. Tell me, you did tell about how different you guys are, how, what is your intake rate and all of that. What is, because there are a lot of edtech startups these days,
Right,
and offering
right,
different angles of education. Some people talk about
right,
scientific approach, some people talk about, just plain videos, and there's a lot of, people are
right.
even enhancing education in terms of AR, VR, making it more
Yes,
interesting for the kids and all of that.
yes,
So, what is
yes.
your uniqueness? What is your uniqueness? What is that? How are you different from the existing startups, mostly the edtech startups? I mean, not the
Right.
education system, but the edtech startups. How are you different? Why should some parents come to your platform and not go to other edtech startups for their kids?
So I'm going to help, I'm just going to break down the edtech sector for you. So in the edtech sector, you mainly have three different types of business models, right? So one is your listing platform, right? Which is a very common business model, like what a Just Dial and all would do, right? So they'll just list any and everyone. The second is the players that are in the content production. So like a Byju's or anyone who's doing e-learning, pre-recorded content will fall into that. We fall into the service delivery of education because we have a direct touch point with the end consumer, which is actually the child, right? So the whole idea is that we are building Cedarwood as one of the largest and most experienced network of teachers, right?
Mhm.
So as a parent, I mean, if problems were so easy, if I could just buy my child a series of courses and say, hey, you know what, I've bought this for you, now sit and
Mhm.
learn every day, our
Mhm.
problems would not exist, right? So I'm sure
Absolutely.
you understand that, right?
Yes, yes.
Children, they learn because they see a teacher, they believe in a teacher, they are fond of a teacher self motivates, and that human connect can
Right.
never be taken out of the entire education system, at least for the next couple of decades, right? So that's
Absolutely.
what we focus on. We are in the service delivery, so we are building. So of course tech is enabling the platform,
Mhm.
but the end consumer is being serviced by the teachers, right? So
Right.
that's how we think we are unique,
Right.
because tomorrow anyone in content production, if
Mhm.
they want to disseminate their content, they will have to
Mhm.
do it through a network like ours because we own the customer, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I think that's a subtle difference, and we actually chose to be here. It's actually extremely challenging to be here, because the
Right.
minute you deal with people and
Absolutely.
not as much with technology, your scaling becomes tougher, right? But we've chosen to do that because we know that there's a very great value add attached to the network we're building.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before I jump on to your other startups, I want to ask one last question pertaining to Cedarwood. How is Cedarwood? What we talk about now is more about students and parents. How is this more useful to the teachers? How is that network? Are you building a community of teachers where teachers can talk to each other and really bring that value add to the system?
Right,
What is
right.
that you? How is it useful to the teachers?
Right, right, right. So the way we build this network is actually for a teacher. It's a platform where she can enhance her career, and there are a bunch of services that we give to the teacher. So first is of course connecting them with fellow teachers in the network, right? So some of them want to upskill, some of them want to network, some of them just want to learn. We provide that. The next is we provide an entire tech platform to them in terms of if they want content, if they want any ERP related to enrolling students, right? So payment collections, so all those processes are streamlined. And we have an entire counseling backend team that supports the teachers. And the third is of course helping them gain visibility, right? So I might be, as an individual teacher, I might be able to WhatsApp what I'm doing to a couple of groups, but how do I let a larger population know, right? And as an individual teacher, I don't have the bandwidth or the budget to create my own website, to run ads, to digitally promote myself, right? So that's what we do on behalf of all the teachers. So their profile building, their network building, their visibility to all parents. So they get that professional tag, and because of that professional tag, there of course that generates into more business with them.
Okay. Okay. I think it's a very nice combination of helping students, parents, and teachers on one single platform, and yet not being that listing site, because listing sites are like, just like fad, and people, I at least don't feel really, any listing platform for that matter. It's just a little bit of information, right? But I think what you guys are doing is adding real value to the system, and that's really, really important. So moving on, Diksha, I want to know about, you are a very busy lady, and I want to know more about your other startups. To start with, I want to know about Collaborator. What is Collaborate-her? So if I have to pronounce it properly, it is Collaborate-her, right? The
Collaborate-her.
her,
Yeah,
the
that's the
her
right
is
pronunciation.
more
You got that
important.
right.
But
Yeah.
but it does sound as Collaborator. So tell me about it. What do you guys do? What is or what is it about Collaborator?
Right. So, Keerthi, I've actually been very active in the startup ecosystem, right? Right from when I launched Cedarwood. And what I realized was, of course, now we have a lot of go-to entrepreneurial networks. In fact, yours, what you run, the Pune Open Coffee Club, is one of the pioneers, right? It's a success story, and I really look up to that. One thing that I realized was there were a lot of people who wanted to switch to entrepreneurship, or who had existing businesses, wanted to scale, and the people that they were seeking advice from were coming from the corporate background. Now, I felt there was a big mismatch because, see, in a corporate, you have abundant resources, and money solves a lot of problems.
Right.
Switch that to entrepreneurship, you have scarce resources, you have to optimize everything you have, right? So
Absolutely.
there was not a go-to, you can say, professional network of people that anyone could go to and get some of their any problems that they would face in their ventures get solved, right? So that's
Mhm.
how the concept of collaborator came on.
Mhm.
I started this to help businesses achieve scale with sustainability, because
Mhm.
these two things actually stood out to me when I was building Cedarwood from scratch.
Mhm.
One is, a lot of people say, you know what, let the venture burn money, and baad mein dekhenge, and we'll kind of raise money.
Right.
I don't think that's really true. No one is as lucky as Flipkart to have a Walmart bail them out. So you need to kind of, build sustainability from a 360-degree point of view in your business, whether it's from a costing point of view, whether it's from a people point of view, process point of view, environmental point of view. Once your model is sustainable, of course, it can scale and kind of, take those leap and bounds, right? So that's how Collaborator started. I started informally consulting a lot of people who I knew personally, and then I said, hey, I think I can do this because there are a lot of people there who need direction, right? So
Mhm.
that was the birth of Collaborate-her. And the other thing was, I also wanted to create a network of people in the ecosystem who had similar backgrounds and wanted to offer any sort of consulting
Mhm.
services.
Mhm. But why the, her? I want to know about the her in Collaborator. Why is it? Because
Right.
see, I believe that women, ladies need more push to become an entrepreneur, because they're just coming out of shell, and they need a lot of support and a lot of help. And I think that's something that we all are looking forward to help more and more ladies, not just the people who are educated, but also from rural areas. We want women to come
Yes.
up and become,
Yes.
entrepreneurs and all of that. So tell me
Right.
about that her. I want to know about
Yeah.
the her.
So, what you're saying is right. I wanted to make the her very apparent because, whenever I would go for a lot of these industry forum conferences, startups specifically, less than 10% of the crowd was women, right?
Hmm.
And if you actually look at women, they possess all the skill sets to be fantastic entrepreneurs, right? So
Hmm.
why don't we see more women, more women ventures getting scaled up or getting funding, So there was a big
Right.
problem.
Hmm.
So that's when I started doing a little bit of research about 3 years back, and there were some very obvious truths that came out, right? So one was, a lot of women don't network. because they're only 10%, so they feel intimidated, they don't want to come out, because of which they aren't able to get into strategic partnerships, right?
Right.
Next was, a lot of women start their businesses, but they don't think that these businesses can actually become larger visions or, scalable models.
Right.
And the last was, of course, lack of funding, lack of support, so on and so forth, right? So that's why I wanted to make it very apparent that, hey, you know what, this is me, I run a venture and I'm here to help you. So whereas the intention when I started was to focus on women entrepreneurs, surprisingly, there were a lot of men who came and said they wanted advice because they didn't have any women in leadership, right? And see, I'm not taking sides here. I'm a strong equalist at heart. For me, entrepreneurship has no gender, has no race, right? But unfortunately, right now the scales aren't level, so we have less of women, right? So in fact, that's one of the reasons that led me to starting my third venture in partnership with someone. It's called Made by Her.
Yes.
That
Please tell about
is
that.
a go-to. Yeah. So that is a go-to platform that kind of answers all the questions or all the problems that women in business or women entrepreneurs face, right? So we are the largest go-to professional network for women businesses, and how we are different is because, unlike a platform that only helps them network, we actually help them get more B2B business, right? So as an entrepreneur, of course, B2C business exists, but it's tough to get, it's more expensive, and you can't scale up your revenues. The minute you get a bulk deal, you have a B2B order ready, you have revenues, you can scale up, right? So that's what we do. We actually work with a lot of corporates, MNCs, startups, SMEs, and we tell them to give us any requirements that they have that can be fulfilled by our members or the women entrepreneurs, right? So we're actually facilitating B2B spends on the women, because that stat stands at less than 1%, right? And if more of a chunk of this B2B goes to women, they'll automatically rise up in the chain.
Correct. So Collaborat-her and Made by Her, and then Cedarwood. You're doing so much work, Deeksha. It's amazing to see somebody putting in or wearing so many different hats. I happen to come across a couple of other friends of mine, ladies who are doing the same thing, and I'm really proud of you, girls, so to say, that you're doing so much work. Now, tell me about before I could ask you about any question related to how you're coping with COVID and in this pandemic and all of that. I want to know, what is that big vision that you have for mostly Cedarwood? What is that big picture that you want to see Cedarwood to be becoming in the next 5 to 10 years time? How is it going to be? What is it? What is that vision?
Right. So, in my mind, the way I look at Cedarwood, at least all of us founders, we wanted to be the go-to platform for parents when they are looking for any classes for their children, right? And that's what we are building at. And from another side, we also wanted to be the go-to platform for teachers if they want to start taking classes, right? So, trusted, lots of variety of courses, and something that is long term in nature, right? So that's my vision for Cedarwood, to be able to reach out to as many students. For now in India, we are focusing on India. India is a big market, and once this goes well, we are happy to extend this to other parts as well.
Awesome. So tell me about it. Tell me about everyone's lockdown, and how you coping uh, this time. How are you spending your time? How many meetings do you have every day on Zoom or any other place? Is it more busier or is it more relaxing? What is it?
It's definitely much more busier. I honestly feel the work has tripled, right? For multiple reasons, and honestly, I'm not going to complain here. So for Cedarwood, of course, everything that we do has been taken online, and we see a lot of more acceptance and higher adoption rates for from parents. because they realize that their kids have suddenly been, cut off from school. They are not meeting their friends. There's a lot of
Right.
loneliness, right? And for
Yeah.
children, that's not, the right environment to kind of grow up in.
Absolutely.
So we provide a lot of live online classes, right? So
Mhm.
all our teachers are, by the way, working not less than 5 to 6 hours a day, delivering classes,
Wow.
back to back for students across the country.
Mhm.
So, we're of course using platforms like Zoom, like Google Meet. So
Mhm.
initially, a month back when the lockdown hit,
Mhm.
even I was in a dilemma. Should we go online? Should we not? We did a trial run. And
Mhm.
then we said, we've got a good response. My test market is positive, let's kind of go all out, right? And my team has actually also been, working 24/7 to make this happen, because
Wow.
with any change, you need to ensure that all your customers adopt that technology, they
Right.
understand. Even we needed to see how effective are these classes online, right? Because we've always done this in an offline forum. But to our surprise, we got a great response, and
Mhm.
even in terms of our retention rates, a lot of our parents are opting for longer courses. So I'm happy about that. A lot of increased work, right? So
Nice.
that's for Cedarwood. For Collaborator, in fact, there's something very exciting that we're doing in the whole spirit of collaboration.
Mhm.
I also actively help a lot of startups raise funds, or at least connect them to investors.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we realized was that now suddenly no physical, business pitching events. So how do
Correct.
startups, get assisted, or rather get connected to uh, investors? And in our country, if we stop that facilitation, we're in for doom, because startups need to thrive even more in an environment like this.
Absolutely.
So I got together with a couple of people in the ecosystem,
Mhm.
who run similar networks in Delhi and Bangalore, and we
Okay.
are launching something called Pitch It, which
Pitch it.
is
Okay.
a virtual business pitching event for
Very nice.
startups to raise early stage capital. So we have a bunch of investors on board, and
Mhm.
we have, of course, we are reaching out to startups who have ideas, who have a little validation, and want to raise funding to take this forward, right? So that's kind of happening. So a lot of work, definitely no free time.
I know. It's for a lot of people I talk to, they are they were in a dilemma to, for that transition from pre-COVID, and now, even after this pandemic is over, hopefully soon, there's a lot of changes that are going to be happening in the ecosystem, not just startup ecosystem, but in every industry.
Absolutely.
So one
Absolutely.
last question, Deeksha. What is your message for an entrepreneur, or for also for students, parents, or teachers? Since you are from the edtech, what is that message that you want them to know, that you strongly believe in, right? If you can just
Yeah.
say that to our audience.
Yeah. So I'll answer this question in two parts. One
Okay.
is for anyone who's looking at exploring the edtech sector.
Mhm.
See, I understand this sector is booming, but like anywhere else, you need to find a substantial problem, right? So kind of just go out, talk to a bunch of people, figure out what those problems are, and if you have a solution, then implement it, right?
Mhm.
Just cut, copy, pasting a model is really not going to take you forward, right? And build for a post COVID era. Don't just say, hey, now it's an emergency, I'll build a business model for 3 months, but what about, you're not envisioning how things will pan out later, right? So
Right.
that's for edtech. And for entrepreneurs in general, or people who are looking to switch to entrepreneurship, I think there's no better time than now, right?
Mhm.
Because so many problems at hand, you can
Right.
pick and choose any. People are a lot more willing to answer. So if you want to do surveys, or if you want to do some test market, this is a great time. And thirdly, of course, in a lot of chaos lies great opportunity, right? So this is not the time to back down, but the time to kind of go all out, be strong, because I think the ones who stay strong are the ones who are going to survive in the post COVID era.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your time, and thanks, Deeksha, for coming on our show, my show, Coffee with Keerthi. I really appreciate your time, and thanks for letting us know about Cedarwood. I will be putting in all of that information in the description of this video, and I really appreciate your work for the education system to add value there, and also to help a lot of women entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general. Thank you so very much. Thanks a lot for
Thanks so much.
sharing.
Thanks so much for having me. And right, right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Deeksha. Thanks a lot. Thank you.